Hello and welcome to Geology Concepts. This is the second part of the month of October current affairs, where we will be discussing topics from environment, science and tech, security and miscellaneous topics. So without any further ado, let's get started. So the first update is on EnviStats India 2024 edition, which is released recently by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, that is MOSPI, and this is the 7th issue of this EnviStats India 2024, which the theme is environment accounts, right? So EnviStats stands for Environment Statistics, and it is compiled in accordance with the international standard called SEEA, which stands for System of Environmental Economic and Accounting Framework, right? So it provides information on environment, its most important changes over time, and how the changes is happening across the locations and the main factors that are influencing these changes. So all of these things were taken into account for publishing the EnviStats statistics, right? And the publication includes 4 areas, right? The areas that are included are energy accounts, ocean accounts, soil nutrient index, and biodiversity. So these 4 areas were considered in the EnviStats, right? What are the key highlights of this year's edition? So India, if you see, emerged as the world leader in energy transition, right? And also India protected the total protected area, environmentally protected area, increased by 72% in numbers and 16% increase in total area protected during the period of 2000 to 2023. Also, if you see, mangrove covers have also increased by 8% between 2013 to 2021. Right? Now, why this EnviStats is something that is important? Because it gives you data for sustainable management of natural resources. It also balances economic growth with environmental sustainability. It also provides an alternate means of measuring the country's prosperity and progress, which is beyond the GDP calculation as well, right? And also it supports data-driven policy making. So you need to understand who publishes it, what are the key outputs that are there of this year's edition, EnviStats India 2024 edition, and which 4 areas are particularly taken into account, right? Next is PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, which a new central guideline came in for innovative project component under the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, right? So Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, it notified a guideline to encourage the advancements in rooftop solar technologies, new business models, and also integration of different techniques, right? So earlier guidelines, if you see, they had been issued for other subcomponents such as model solar villages and all of this. But these the concerted push for the startup industry was not there earlier, which was notified in this year's guideline by the central ministry, right? So the objective is to support the startups, different institutions and industries to pilot new concepts, right? So this is to promote the innovation in the industry of solar technology, and it also focus on emerging solutions like blockchain based peer-to-peer solar trading, etc., right? So who are eligible, or eligibility of the target group? Any entity or individual and international corporation that is taking up joint research and design with Indian counterparts, right? So anybody can take part, either individual or international organization or industry that wants to collaborate with Indian companies as well. They can also participate in this kind of scheme, right? And the tenure of the project is up to 12 months, and 500 crore of fund were set aside for encouraging advancement in rooftop solar technology, right? It also gives financial assistance up to 60% of the project cost or 30 crores, whichever is lower, right? And the implementation agency will be the National Institution of Solar Energy, or NICE. Okay. Then let's talk a bit about the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. As I said, nodal ministry is New and Renewable Energy. It will be completed between this period, that is 2026 to 27, and the objective is to install rooftop solar and provide free electricity for up to 300 monthly units for 1 crore households, right? And there are also subsidy benefits that are there. So it provides 60% of the solar unit cost or the installation cost for the systems up to 2 kilowatt capacity, and 40% of additional system cost will also be there if you increase the capacity by 1 more kilowatt capacity, that is 2 to 3 kilowatt capacity. So there is, so if you see 60 and another, if you add another 1 kilowatt capacity, then another 40% of subsidy will be there. So that's why it's mostly a free initiative, right? So it will completely subsidize the installation cost. Next up, the modified Ecomark scheme. So the Ecomark scheme, which was introduced to promote the eco-friendly product, is in alignment with the initiative that was proposed by the Prime Minister of India, Mission Lifestyle, or Lifestyle for Environment, right? Mission Life. So this mission was initiated in 2021. That is, the Mission Life was introduced in 2021 by Prime Minister in Glasgow Declaration, right? So the revised scheme notified in 2024, and the Ecomark scheme was earlier there in 1991. It was introduced, but this is revising that particular version of the Ecomark scheme that is introduced in 1991, and it focuses on reducing the environmental impacts, promoting resource efficiency, and also encourages sustainable production and consumption of different products, right? And the key feature, if you see, of the scheme will include accreditation of products based on specific environmental criteria, and it also ensures minimal environmental harm, right? It also promotes reduction in energy consumption. It also mandates accurate labeling so that to avoid greenwashing by companies, right? And it will be implemented and overseen by Central Pollution Control Board, that is CPCP, and also Bureau of Indian Standard, that is BIS. And if you see, this scheme is a step towards achieving sustainable goals, and also it supports both consumer awareness as well as motivate the industries or manufacturers to adopt eco-friendly practices. So that's all about the modified Ecomark scheme. Now, from the science and technology initiatives, India has launched a new initiative called Bharat-Gen, which is a generative AI initiative or artificial intelligence initiative designed to enhance the public service delivery within India, and it has a strong focus on promoting inclusivity with Indian languages, right? So this is the most important part. That means the Bharat-Gen technology is developed to be efficient in multiple Indian languages. So it was developed by IIT Bombay under National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical Systems, or NMICPS, right? So it was developed by IIT Bombay, and the main aim is to create a generative AI model that supports the India's linguistic diversity as well as the cultural context of India, right? And this initiative, that is the Bharat-Gen initiative, it marks the world's first government-funded multimodal large language model project. So this is the first fully government-supported multimodal LLM model that is one that focuses on inclusivity of different languages and cultural context of India, right? Now, the data that will be gathered will be India-centric data. That means it will be curated. It uses the curated data sets which are focused on India's linguistic diversity, right? It will be an open source platform, so it democratizes the AI access and enables the startups and researchers to get the data and develop this model, right? And if you see the significance, first thing is cultural preservation is there. That means it ensures the representation of India's diverse language and cultural heritage in AI systems. It supports the digital sovereignty of India. That means it reduces the reliance on foreign technologies by developing indigenous AI solutions. It also is a great initiative towards inclusive development, and it also strengthens the AI ecosystem of India, right? So that is something that you need to understand as far as Bharat-Gen concept is concerned, right? Now, the another mission that is in news was RISE mission, which was RISE, or which stands for Remove Debris in Orbit Servicing, which is first in orbit servicing mission launched by European Space Agency, right? So it is something that is launched by European Space Agency to promote refueling, refurbishment, and assembly in orbit elements for creating a circular economy in space, right? And it will be launched in 2028. So it is currently in a development stage. By 2028, it will be fully operational, and after it will be it goes operational, it will have the ability to dock and control orbit of geostationary satellites, right? So the RISE will will be situated up to the so-called geostationary graveyard that is about 100 km higher, where the satellites are parked and they have reached their end of their mission, right? Now, what is circular space economy? So, circular space economy is nothing but the certain aspects that are included, which are satellite refurbishment, repair, space debris removal, and resource utilization. That means materials that are extracted from asteroids and the moon are also used in this kind of circular space economy concepts. Also, what are the significance of the space circular economy? It reduces the space debris and also help to mitigate the risk of collision in every new launch. And then it also promotes resource conservation. That means by reusing and recycling material in the space, you are conserving resources. Then cost reduction will also happen because the lifespan of a particular satellite will be extended, and faster development times will be there because assembling and manufacturing space system will be taken up directly in orbit, right? If you see India's initiative in this context, that is to promote circular space economy, ISRO currently demonstrated reusable launch vehicle technology in 2024. And it is in line with something like the SpaceX Falcon, which is a Falcon 9, which is a reusable launch vehicle, right? And also, ISRO is promoting debris-free space mission by all Indian space actors by 2030. Okay, so this is something that India is doing as far as circular space economy is concerned. Now, there is another project called MACE project, or Major Atmospheric Cherenkov Experiment, or MACE Observatory, which is currently inaugurated in Hanle, Ladakh. Right? So, MACE project is a significant achievement for India's cosmic ray research and also advancing the scientific understanding and support socio-economic development of Ladakh. Right? The location is in Hanle, Ladakh, which is situated at an altitude of 4,300 meters, and it is the highest imaging Cherenkov telescope in the world. Okay, so Cherenkov is imaging technology, is a kind of technology that are used in telescopes for understanding your gamma rays, and also the understanding of universe energetic phenomena like supernova incidents, black holes, gamma ray burst, all these technologies, right? And development was done by BARC. So this particular telescope was completely developed indigenously by BARC with support from ECIL and other Indian partners, right? And the technology that is used is Cherenkov imaging technology, right? And if you see the significance, it enhances the India's cosmic ray research capabilities, and also it strengthens the position in multi-messenger astronomy on a global scale. So that is something called MACE project, which is recently inaugurated in Hanle, Ladakh. Then let's talk about the security aspects. So GLOBE network is there, and India has been elected to the steering committee of the GLOBE. Right? So GLOBE stands for Global Operation Network for Anti-Corruption Law Enforcement Authorities. Right? So what is this? When this GLOBE network started? So it was established in 2021 at United Nations General Assembly special session against corruption, and it is an initiative that is launched under the G20 framework. Okay, and the objective is to bring in different law enforcement authorities with an anti-corruption mandate, and they can join hands to counter transnational corruption cases. Okay, and governance model, if you see, it is governed by the members of the GLOBE members that are there. So currently there are 121 members, and also it is supported by United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, for UNODC. Right? From India, if you see, Ministry of Home Affairs is the central authority for GLOBE network in India, and also CBI and ED, or the Enforcement Directorate, they represent India as member authorities in the GLOBE network. Okay. Now let's talk about some of the exercises that are there in the news. So Kazin exercise 2024 was in news because the 8th edition of India-Kazakhstan annual joint military exercise was recently held in Uttarakhand in Aul. Okay. Then exercise Malabar 2024 between the Quad country, which is an annual maritime exercise between the Quad nations that are Australia, Japan, United States and India. So Nasim al-Bahar is a joint naval exercise between Indian Navy and Royal Navy of Oman, which was held in Goa recently. Okay, so these three exercises were in news. Now lastly, let's talk about the Nobel Prize list of 2024. The question may come from this. So Physiology and Medicine, Victor Ambros from US and Gary Ruvkon from US, they got awarded for discovery of microRNAs. Okay, Then in physics, John J. Hopfield from US and Geoffrey Hinton from who is a British Canadian. They were awarded for use of statistical physics concepts in the development of artificial neural networks. Right? In chemistry, David Baker and Demet Hassabis and John M. Jumper were awarded. David Baker for computational protein design, and the other two were for protein structure prediction. Okay. Literature, for literature, the Nobel Prize was given to Han Kang, who is a South Korean writer, and her intense poetic prose that confronts historical traumas and also exposes fragility of human life. Right. So Han Kang was given Nobel Literature Prize. And then Nobel Peace Prize was given to an institution or Japanese organization which is Nihon Hidankyo, and it was awarded for its effort to achieve a world free of nuclear weapon, and it also demonstrated that nuclear weapons must never be used again. So that's why Nihon Hidankyo, which is a Japanese organization, was given Nobel Peace Prize this year. So that's all as the second part of the month of October current affairs. I hope you have learned something useful from this. Until next time, keep revising and keep reading. Thank you again.